boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
Hey, T.I.P. Pimpin'. Hey, Shawty, why you gotta act like that, man? I'm saying, I'm just trying to be nice to you. Go and tell a nigga no with an ass so fat. Hey, why you wanna go and do that, love, huh? Hey, why you wanna go and do that, or do that? Hey, why you wanna go and do that? In a relationship and faithful to a nigga so whack. Hey, why you wanna go and do that, love, huh? Hey, why you wanna go and do that, or do that? Hey, why you wanna go and do that? Can't help but notice how you glowing, I can see in your face now. I just wonder if you know we're close to being replaced. I swear I treat you like a queen, you put me in this place.
You are locked in to hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. This is the show where we hit all the trending topics and headlines across entertainment, sports, lifestyle, and culture. I, of course, am your host, Jill Munroe. Listen, T.I. just announced his retirement from music. He is going to be releasing a double album, Kill the King and Kiss the King. It will be his 12th and final album. T.I. has some bops. I know he is not popular, and he has some very poignant views on topics and opinions about things. Some of them we'll get into. But,
I like T.I.
You know, he's retiring from music.
Yeah, don't they all retire from music?
I mean, you kind of have to at some point.
And they always come back for like a tour.
But here's the thing. I think there is something to be said. We've talked about how artists put out so much music now, but they don't really cultivate the projects that they put out. They just kind of create sometimes and slap stuff together. I don't think a lot of them are really picky or, you know. It's not like before where they would take a couple years. One, they would work the records for years, but two, I think that there was more cohesiveness sometimes in the projects.
Yeah.
I don't know. But at any rate, he will be moving on to, not yonder, but, you know, acting, the comedy stage, whatever, a podcast.
Comedy.
You know, T.I. was doing the comedy thing. He was touring as a comedian. He said that it was really in preparation because he is going to be playing Red Fox in the Red Fox biopic. So he said that's why he was taking the stage and, you know, getting his chops up at that. But I think he was seriously considering a career in comedy a little bit till he found out it was a little harder than what he thought.
Yeah.
But kudos for him for trying it. You know, if you can, try everything if you can. I mean, not everything. Not everything.
Not everything is for everybody.
Not everything is, but I'm saying, but it doesn't hurt to explore, you know? Just because you try something and it's not for you, that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing necessarily. So that's experience.
So Columbus Short and singing. We should cheer him on with that.
I didn't say that. You should do what you like, but I'm saying he should do what he likes. Okay. If that made him feel good and he wanted to explore it, by all means, and he had the means to. That doesn't mean that I have to be a consumer of it, but you are welcome to step out and
I don't like seeing that stuff on my timeline when I don't.
Listen, it is not about you, Trent. Shout out to Forensic Accountant in the chat. He says Jesse Johnson had 2 gold and 1 platinum LP. Did he really?
His perm was late, too.
No, he had a Jerry curl. Did he blow it out for a perm? I think Des Dickerson had the perm.
He blew
and it might not have been
times.
Des Dickerson. I think Des Dickerson is the football player. It was Des something. At any rate, I liked Jesse Johnson's first album. I can't speak on the after ones. I just remember, you know, the hot pink guitar and the pink and leopard ensemble. Very Peggy Bundy or something. All right. So we mentioned T.I. and Tiny. And listen, this is kind of serious because I think about this. And though the case has not been settled yet, right? The judge has ordered. So they had a former friend, Sabrina Peterson, and she accused them of some very naughty things, some very nasty things, you know, regarding, drugging people, sex parties,
Oh,
forced
like how
sexual
Phaedra did Candy.
situations. These accusations were very, very strong. It cost T.I. his role in the Ant-Man franchise, Marvel work. He lost that. They lost some things. And ultimately, they sued her for, they're in the process still of suing her for defamation, right? So they requested that she have to foot the bill for their legal bills, right? Again, the case hasn't been decided yet. They go back to court in December. But usually when the judge decides that the defendant has to pay the plaintiff's legal bills, that usually means what's going to probably end up happening. You're going to lose, boo. And so it is reported that she will have to pay $96,000, right? And they also have a $165,000 bill from their attorney that they would like her to pay. They beat most of her defamation claims. There's still a few, like I said, that will be settled. And they said that they find that it is a reasonable request. The court finds as such. And she has 90 days to make the final payment. It was in 2021 when she brought those accusations against them. She also claimed in these accusations that T.I. once pointed a gun at her head and threatened to kill her. So it was very, very serious. She responded on the Neighborhood Talk when they reported on this story and said, unfortunately, everyone doesn't know how the legal system works. So for the people that have an elementary law degree, this isn't a win for them. Our actual trial date will be set December 11th, and that's when my damages will be calculated. Girl, if you know damages are coming, I don't know. Sounds like a win. But listen, she
has not learned her lesson in just being quiet, obviously.
I know that there's probably a lot of complicated things and layers to this situation, some that we will never know.
Yep.
And, but people need to learn when to cut bait. I don't know. The desire for fame, attention, money,
all the above, and a combination platter. It's too much.
You got to check your morals or something. I don't know. We're getting crazy but it just seems to have reached feverish levels. So good luck to them with that, right? When we come forward, we will get into the story about Kaiser and Kevin Porter Jr. and what's going on with him and what she has come out to say about the charges against him in her position. And, puts people in a tough position. We'll get into that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
RSVP with Jill Munroe is your go-to show for staying in the know. More engaging conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Join LA Civil Rights and the Reparations Advisory Commission's Black Experience Study live this fall. Learn about the city's plans for reparations and join the study in real time. For more information and to register, visit laisforeveryone.com today.
Discover, this is Danny.
Hi, it's Jen Coolidge. I just want to thank you for making me feel so special. I earned cash back on debit for my dinner party groceries.
That's great. But with Discover Cashback Debit, we give everyone cash back on everyday purchases. Anything else I can help you with?
Are you hungry? 'Cause everyone left after the asparagus sorbet.
Introducing Discover Cashback Debit, a checking account with cash back. It pays to Discover. Eligibility and terms at discover.com/cashbackdebit. Discover Bank, member FDIC.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
Anyone can choose to make a difference. You can help people succeed, rebuild after disasters, protect the environment, or feed the hungry. Not only will you make a difference for others, but for yourself. You can earn money for college, learn career skills, and make friendships that last a lifetime. Make a difference. Choose your future. Choose AmeriCorps.
For all of us, this generation and the next, there is simply no place in our lives for litter. And yet, it's everywhere we look, and unfortunately, it does belong to all of us. So let's come together and create a litter-free, clean California once and for all. Remember to properly dispose of your trash and recycling. Secure truckloads with tarps to keep debris from flying out. Clean out your car when you're at the gas station. Take pride in your community by organizing a cleanup event or join a cleanup event near you. Zero litter is the goal. Join us at cleanca.com. That's cleanca.com. Let's do it together. Brought to you by Caltrans. cleanca.com.
Keeping you informed, entertained, and always ahead of the curve. This is RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
You were locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. So listen, of course, we have a lot to talk about. I told you regret is on the menu for hour 3. But I want to know, right? What do you do in a situation like this? So Kevin Porter Jr. is an NBA player. He was a member of the Houston Rockets. He recently was traded to the OKC Thunder because he was arrested for domestic violence charges against his girlfriend Kaiser, a former number 4 draft pick in the WNBA. And he was accused of beating her up. I think we talked about it when you were here. He was accused of grabbing her by her neck, like just some very vicious accounts of the situation, right? Per the report. So he was traded from Houston to the OKC Thunder. They have to pay him a $16.9 million that was left guaranteed on his contract, but they are waiving him, right? So that's done. But Kaiser not only said that there were some extras being put on as far as what happened to her and what has been presented, she is blaming the DA for being overzealous. This is what she posted on social media and her response to the charges against him. It has been deeply frustrating and disturbing by the manipulation of what was stated by the prosecution. To be criminalized, harassed, and misrepresented at the expense of charging someone else is dishonoring and insulting to my integrity. To have someone cultivate their own narrative and expedite false statements was completely reckless, defamatory, and a violation of my human and civil rights, as well as the judicial process. I don't want my trauma to be someone else's campaign or agenda. I will not support defaming someone's character, regardless of the color of their skin, stature, or notoriety, to illuminate myself. I've never granted anyone, including family, because her sister spoke out and had some choice words for Kevin Porter Jr. Her sister was, I believe, married to or engaged to a football player. I want to say Dwayne Haskins. Could be wrong, but I'll get the correct name. At any rate, she says that I've never granted anyone, including family, media outlets, or officials, permission to speak on my behalf other than my lawyer. My privacy and relationship shouldn't be used as a headline for personal gain, engagement, and suffering. The harassment and eagerness for me to support these claims to justify their position and remarks is a matter an assistant DA took into her own hands while I was vulnerable, emotionally healing, and unavailable at the time of information being released. She stated her reason for being so aggressive and wanting to connect is because she needed statements in a timely manner to convey in court, which led to false allegations. She went ahead and provided false narratives of details, specifying that Kevin had balled up his fist and repeatedly punched me 5 times in the face, along with strangling me until the point of losing breath, causing redness, strain, and scars, which I did not have and never occurred. The quotes during the arraignment were her used for sufficiency and for elements of the charges, and were not my words. She acknowledged that were not her words, yeah. I have multiple recordings to corroborate these statements, including apologies from the department for rushing and reporting false narratives about the incident and Kevin being previously abusive in our relationship. I've implored her that in those conversations to please stop spreading false truths. However, accountability was never taken in court nor in the press for completely falsifying and manipulating evidence. So she goes on to say more. There's more, but basically she's saying that everything that's been reported is a complete lie. Ow, that was my knee. She's not saying what happened. But she is retracting everything that she has said, and she doesn't agree with the charges. She says it's hearsay, all of these different things. How do you help someone in these type of situations? And I feel like this is the reason why a lot of people at times take a hands-off approach when it comes to domestic violence, or, you know, couples that are toxic, you know, your Blue Faces and Krishan Rocks, et cetera, the people that fight each other or, you know, get in each other's face. What do you do in situations like this? I'm not saying that what she's saying isn't true. We really don't know. But something happened. Something elevated. Something was escalated. So, keep it real. It's your time to shine.
I mean, I don't like talking about, this is a very sensitive situation. And I've never been in an abusive situation like this before, but I can't really sway one way or another. So what I do believe is that something did happen. And just hearing her statement, just from my own perception, and let me just preface it with this: it's very difficult for men to talk about domestic violence situations, because usually times we are always the aggressor in the situation. I like to throw in the caveat in the situation that, you know, I'm not going to go there, but because I still have privilege as a man. However, just knowing what I know about domestic violence situations and just having heard about situations not being in close orbit, that did not read to me like someone who was abusive. It sounded like something happened and there was a fight. It was between them.
You're saying it doesn't sound like someone that was abused,
or like in a consistent, or it sounded like to me she was taking up for herself, but also asking just for privacy in her relationship. To me, it was like, okay, we had a fight. It was a situation, and outside forces took the situation and used it as a headline, for whatever campaign they were going on. That could very well be the case. And we do know that things like this happen, especially when black people are involved, especially in a town like that, So
it sounds like they're in New York.
Okay, well,
when it happened, yeah.
Okay, so there could have been some opportunity in the situation. It's high profile to make a name for yourself. That could have very well happened. There could have been some stretching of the facts, so to speak. We don't know.
This isn't their first reported incident of,
Yeah, we don't know. It sounded like they're young. They're passionate.
So should people just mind their business, ignore it, or? Because that's the question.
I don't know.
Because the thing is this, like,
her sister said something. I think it's for people that are close in proximity to do something, whatever that is.
But he's lost his career.
Also to that, these players, they know at this point they're starting to change some of the rules about domestic violence and, some of the outside situations that you get involved in when you're not playing. We know that sometimes they make examples out of whatever the case. So if you know that and you've got a morality clause like a lot of these people do, you don't put yourself in situations or you keep doing behaviors that are going to jeopardize your money bag. That's on him. So again, a situation happened. We know something happened. And if this is the norm for them, what can we really say?
let's get to some of these comments in the YouTube
It's
chat.
quiet on that.
It's hard to say. I mean,
Yeah.
You don't,
hard.
because you don't want to step it's very difficult. You can't tell someone how to run their relationship or give advice on something when you're not really clear on what is happening. That can be very layered and complicated. But at the same time, people complain, you're just standing by doing nothing. You're not, and sometimes we don't know if it's moved too soon, not soon enough, but she is making it very clear on what her stance is. Some people are saying she was paid off. And of course, this is the point that I was getting at as well, as Fahima brings up, that it's not uncommon for victims of domestic violence to recant and go back. We know that, and that's what I'm saying. I do understand that it's not uncommon at all. So in that, how do you help someone in the circumstance? What do you do as someone that's on the outside or someone tasked with making a decision in how you handle the accused? Do you take this person at their word, or do you assume, well, they're doing this because they're a victim? You know what I mean? It's causing you to think and move in ways that are outside of, to some degree, your knowledge base. But you have to make a decision and move forward. So I think that is why, which is really kind of what I was getting at, a lot of people take a hands-off approach when it comes to domestic violence, because it's hard to get in there and move around and have clear-cut ways of help outside of, I'm here if you need me. Yeah.
It's tough, and again, I have no experience in that department whatsoever. I don't have children.
Do you think that it's fair that he be cut immediately?
I don't know that. Again, I can't.
You can't speak on that.
I can't speak because I don't know the situation. I don't have history on this dude. I do know that he's young.
Forensic accountant points out that anger costs, which it does.
Yeah, he's a young 20-something black dude. I don't know what his background is. I don't know enough information to make a guess. But what I will say is that people need to learn to keep their hands to themselves, number one. And number two, if you know that you're in a high profile situation, don't do anything to jeopardize it. And because you can't control yourself, this is what happens.
Well, we have a caller, Fahima from DC. Thank you for
Fahima.
staying up late with us, checking in.
It's not late. She tells you that every time.
Later.
Words right out of my mouth. Okay, so Jill, I'm a therapist, right? And I had a client a few years ago who clearly was in a domestic violence situation, but I couldn't help her. She had to help herself, and she had to be ready. Long story short, I didn't say, oh, well, you're in a domestic violence situation. I had her assessed by the Women's Law Center. They provided her with a place to stay, and she was afraid to leave until one day when he attacked her in the middle of the night, and she called me and had to call the police. Long story short, she's doing fine now. He made her quit her job at the post office because they were making her do too much overtime. But nonetheless, she got out of the situation. She's doing very well, and she's co-parenting with her ex. People have to be ready themselves. You can provide them with the resources, but they have to be ready to lead. And oftentimes people are afraid to lead. And she may be, I don't know, I'm not saying, I don't know what happened in this situation, but because of what's been jeopardized, that could be the reason why she's saying this. Fearful that, he may hurt her because he may look, you made me lose my career.
No, and understanding all of that. And that's why I asked the question within that, as far as we are looking more and more to the corporate entity to hold individuals accountable in situations like this. So from their perspective, how do they move? What is the right thing to do? Do they wait to see it play out, knowing that victims sometimes recant for all of those reasons that you listed, maybe different ones or whatever? what do you think is the best approach as far as on the corporate side? As you know, the call from the public is for them to be more and more involved in these seemingly private home situations.
But you can't control people. But I will say this. People come from many horrific situations, and they need to have more mentoring. Like at the school, at the HBCU I worked at, right? One semester, one of the students stabbed the other student to death in the dorm a few years ago. And so people are coming from horrific situations, and they bring those situations. You may think, okay, this is my get out of poverty card, but sometimes people bring, the baggage with them. So they need to have mentoring and some kind of briefing for these people when they come. You automatically come from, all of a sudden you're making millions of dollars, and some of them don't know what they're doing.
I mean, it's
True.
a very tough, I agree. It's a very, very difficult situation, but, and that's why I ask as far as when you think about the women and people, we want to protect women. We want to, in this instance, she's very adamant about wanting to keep it private, and they've gone too far. Does the DA continue with his case in circumstances like this? I'm sure they feel, they possibly, we don't know how much physical evidence they have. But
well, if they have evidence, whether she cooperates or not, if they have evidence, because they're not like her lawyer, they represent the state. It's the state of whomever versus whomever. So it's not whether she presses charges or not. If they have evidence, they can prosecute the case. But all too often I see, like there were students at Howard who had full rides, and they messed up those full rides because they had guns and drugs in their dorm room. People need to be debriefed and explain to them, look, this is how it goes. This is what you can lose. They need to mentor these people. They really do, because people make some very foolish mistakes and end up ruining their lives. And again, I don't know what happened in this situation, but it does sound kind of odd.
Who is they, though? We always say they. Who is the they that needs to mentor them? Because how much hand-holding or coddling can you give one? Because some of this is, from the time you're 3, 4, 5 years old, hey, don't hit X, Y, and Z. You're taught these things. So It's not like, I'm not, saying from you, I'm just,
I understand. No, I understand. But okay, let's look at, and I'm not picking on him, but let's use Chris Brown, for example. Chris Brown came from a house where his father was putting his hands on his mother. And so that became normal for him. So what I'm saying is there needs to be some kind of mentoring, financial literacy for these young people who are coming from situations where all of a sudden they've got a bunch of money and they've never been in that situation before.
Right, but what I'm saying to you back, and we will continue this on the other side, but what I am saying to you is, for example, Kevin Porter Jr. is in the NBA. I know without question they have a rookie orientation that goes over situations such as this. They run through examples. There are people that they can talk to. There are people on the team, player operations, their agents, different people. They have those resources and things set up for them, and they still don't utilize them. We are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. A little tongue-tied here. News and sports is up next.
Just something special and it feel like fate. Hate to make a mistake. How the same thing making you sad, making you stay. Gonna tell you know what it's so fat. Hey, why you wanna go and do that, love, huh? Hey, why you wanna go and do that, Hey, why you wanna go and do that,
Trending topics and the hottest happenings. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Tyreek Wynn. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. The NAACP is suspending their Nashville, Tennessee branch president over allegations she made toward the organization and state conference leaders. President and CEO Derek Johnson says Vanita Lewis, who is black, has undermined the mission and work of the NAACP. While speaking with WSMV, Lewis characterized the organization's leadership as a dictatorship, saying other local officials have been removed over disagreements as well. A state delegate is throwing his support behind former Mayor Sheila Dixon, who is black, for Baltimore and Maryland's 2024 Democratic mayoral primary. Baltimore City Delegate Sandy Rosenberg endorsed Dixon, saying the city needs a mayor who knows that community problems have to be addressed right away. Mayor Eric Adams, who is Black administration, is looking at expanding services offered at New York City's Asylum Application Help Center. Members of the Office of Immigrant Affairs testified at a council hearing. That's the latest. I'm Tyreek Wynn on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
Hey, if you're thinking of getting the latest iPhone, you need to stop and check out the amazing wireless offer from Boost Infinite. For more, just pick up your phone and dial pound 250 and say Boost Infinite. That's pound 250 and Boost Infinite. You'll have the option to receive a one-time auto-dialed text message from this station.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
Boldly taking talk radio where it has never gone before. New vistas, new voices, new views, new visions, new victories. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we're taking public media black.
In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, children are the future. Here, tobacco companies are committed to higher education, offering scholarships to students who submit essays about the benefits of vaping. The tobacco industry even sponsors summer camps for kids. Don't worry, the tobacco-sponsored programs have been linked to leaving your kids more interested in smoking. In Big Tobacco's Fantasyland, the world's deadliest industry is your child's friend.
See reality at undo.org.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
At Susan G. Komen, we believe that ending breast cancer needs all of us working together. Because if you've just been diagnosed and don't know where to turn, we've got you. If you can't afford the treatment you need, we've got you. And if you are driven to honor the loved one you've just lost, we have a place for you here. Because of you, we're supporting those who need help today while tirelessly searching for tomorrow's cures. Visit Komen.org and be a part of our Susan G. Komen community today.
What is dedication?
My biggest fear in the middle of my addiction was that my kids wouldn't have a father. And I started thinking, you know what? This isn't my story. I definitely had to become a better man to be a better father. It's important to me that my kids are empowered and truly believe that if they can think it, they can do it.
That's dedication. Visit fatherhood.gov to hear more. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Is your eyesight changing?
I can't read this anymore.
Don't lose hope. People just like you are working every day using Braille, screen magnification, speech technology, and other tools and blindness skills. Your eyesight may have changed, but your goals, they don't have to. We can help. Visit us on the web at blind.org. The National Federation of the Blind. Live the life you want.
Now. We tend not to think about now. We dream about tomorrow, relive yesterday. But right now in front of us is victory over cancer. Right now, cancer research funded by the V Foundation is leading to better treatments and saving lives. Victory over cancer is there for the taking by you, because today's cancer research is tomorrow's victory. Learn more at v.org.
Don't give up. Don't ever give up.
Mom's early Alzheimer's diagnosis was hard to take.
And when I left the oven on, we decided together that it was time to see a doctor and make a plan.
Early detection gave us more time to seek out information and support as a family.
If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. For more information, visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. Curating the most compelling stories and delivering them straight to your ears. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580.
I feel you. Baby, don't. You can't give up. Baby, don't cry. I hope you got your head up. Even when the road is hard, never give up. Baby, don't cry. I hope you got your head up. Even when the road is hard, never give up. Now here's a story about a woman with dreams. So picture perfect at 13 and ebony queen. Beneath the surface,
you just got the giggles. Trent, you gotta let us in on what the joke is. You were locked into hour 2 of RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. On the line, we have Fahima from DC. And Fahima, go ahead and complete your point.
Okay, so I put it in the chat. Dr. Ramel Smith was one of the first black psychologists in the NBA, right? He's a friend and a colleague. He made sure that these young brothers had financial literacy, were able to work through their problems, and didn't do anything that could have caused them to ruin and destroy their careers. And this is what they need. They need folks that are going to be there to guide them, to prevent them from stepping in landmines and doing stupid stuff. I think it was one guy, I remember seeing him flipping a woman in a hotel lobby, and he ended up, I'm sure, I don't remember what his name was, but I'm sure you remember that a few years ago. You saw him throwing this woman down the hall in the hotel lobby. And, I mean, people do crazy stuff, and they don't know what they're jeopardizing.
But, I mean, I guess that is my point. I know for a fact that you're saying they need these people. They are provided with those resources. They have that, and yet we still have Kevin Porter Jr. and whatever is happening here. We have Ja Morant and whatever was happening with him. We've seen in times past examples like J.R. Smith, you know, and the list goes on. And the reality is the league and the Players Association both provide them with resources. The team provides them with resources, people they can call. You know, I think it was the NFL. They had a line that on Sunday and Monday nights, because obviously Sunday nights is after the games, NFL players, teams don't practice on Tuesdays generally. It's their off day. So a lot of NFL players would go out on Sunday and Monday nights. They have curfew, game night, et cetera, et cetera. So they had a hotline where they could call and get a car service. No charge to them, would come if they were too intoxicated. It was never utilized. Do you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, there's only so much holding and, you know, coddling that you can do for people where it's just about responsibility and accountability. We understand that these are, you know, they're being put in these situations with so much money out of nowhere, but at a certain point, 2 or 3 years in, with those resources in place, are we not making excuses to still say, well, they should help him? Who are the theys that we are looking to when they've been given these resources?
Well, it's the same way with the victims of domestic violence. You can provide the information, provide the resource, and it's really up to the individual to take, because you can bring a horse to water, but you can't make them take it. 100.
That is 100. You are 100% right. Thank you as always, Fahima. We appreciate your time and your input.
Always. I enjoy her.
Oh, she's gone. Okay. We love getting her input and opinion. It's just, that is sort of my question. It's like, is the money, granted, you don't know how you're going to react when you get that money, but at what point are you responsible for how you act with that? At what point are we supposed to stop saying, poor baby, you're rich, you don't know what to do? Do you know what I mean? Like, because here's the reality.
It's not up to me. It's up to you. It's not up to anybody else.
Because if you were to act out, you know, at the same age, would you be given those same constraints just because you're rich or not? So, I mean, again, I'm not saying throw the book at them or whatever, that there's not misunderstandings or overcorrections, but I do think we have to hold them accountable to some degree. Andy? Oh, he's gone. Okay, we'll be back on that.
I think that's the only way that certain people will learn, when you hold them accountable. And it's true. It's like you provide and I think with these guys, a lot of the times that you provide resources, pride is going to get in the way. They're not going to absolutely, take the opportunity to fix anything, because they're not even going to, in a space that meant something is wrong. It's like, I'm here, I've arrived, what else really matters at this point?
I'm getting cut from my team, sad for me, but I'm still getting $16.9 million.
Yeah, I mean, there's really come on. So it's like, whatever. So I think that people have to learn the hard way. And, once you, talk to them a couple of times, 1, 2, 3 times, it's like, okay, we see it's like beating a dead horse, like walk away, do something different.
Right.
And let things fall where they may.
Andy?
Man, it just sounds like youth. That's it.
Yep.
Give them some time. Unfortunately, they did some crucial things in their youth, but over time they mature and, things turn around.
So do you think that the team should cut him, or do you think should it be a long suspension? What do you think the process should be with that? Because it's a very final decision. Of course, someone else could pick him up, but much like I said with, for example, the T.I. thing, these are very final decisions, and you understand, because the crowd, the audience, the people are like, we need something done, but the judicial side of it, the exploratory side of it, hasn't played out. So how do you balance that?
I think it's really, really tough, because I think in situations like this, people get thrown away a lot of the times.
Yeah.
And forgotten about.
On both sides. Because
on both sides, yeah.
She has a career too, and I wonder, what's going on with that. Shannon Thompson in the chat says they need to be held responsible.
For sure.
I just, it's an interesting thing, because without her, of course they can move forward with the prosecution, but we know that with any case, it's much stronger when you have that witness, and they can do all these things and show all of that, but without her there, it kind of, not what's the point, but sometimes it's like, well, what's going to happen? Is she going to be sitting in the courtroom next to him, holding his hand while they go through this? We've seen that before. I don't know. Mackie Samuel says, Fahima, you probably meant to say Milwaukee Bucks. Yeah, Milwaukee Bucks. Fahima also says, people don't know what they don't know. It's obviously not working for some. That is true. Shannon Thompson says, hard head makes us soft behind. What my granny used to say, they will learn. This is true also. We have JW on the line from South Central LA. JW, what do you have to say on the topic tonight?
Yeah, Andy pretty much beat me to the point in reference when he said being immature, and then when they grow up, they do better. But see, one thing that I noticed that you guys didn't mention, that most of them have the same thing in common, which is their age bracket being young and immature. And some people don't grow up as fast as others, because the old folks used to always say, nothing worse than a young fool is a grown fool. And a grown fool is an immature person that never actually grown up psychologically or emotionally or mentally, but mainly emotionally, because most of us aren't emotionally intelligent or emotionally mature. You follow my point?
I do, precisely.
And as well, most of them had trauma or inexperience being poor and didn't know how to manage money or have a normal, functional, conventional relationship that was something that society would value, because they never had that opportunity to learn that because of poverty and, systemic racism and all other kind of factors, in terms of their environment and, the general way of dealing with life in their neighborhoods and situations and circumstances. So you got to take all that under consideration. And the answer is that they have a mentor that actually can identify with them, because that mentor had common things that they went through together, and they have something in common that both of them can identify with, because that mentor can help him navigate from all the pitfalls and mistakes, because he went through the same similar type of circumstances or the identical circumstances, then that man is the right person or the right type of water to make him drink, or he will want to drink. He will want to run to that watering hole because he knows that person has something in common and can identify with him because they see things eye to eye. You follow my point?
I do follow your point, but I again ask the question. I feel like, especially when we are talking about these professional sports leagues, they have done a really thorough job, especially over the past, I'd say 20 years, in making resources available to them. I say this as someone who has friends that work within the league structures, work for teams. I have friends that were athletes that were within the league. They have programs for them for post-career. They have programs for them in the summer for new career opportunities while they are in place. They have, like I said, people that come in and can speak to them about these different situations, other players that lend themselves as resources. The NBPA has a whole mental health section and cohort, and of course, because youth is youth, we're still going to find ourselves experiencing that, because experience is without a doubt the best teacher. My question is just that, at what point is it no longer just a cause but an excuse? How, of course, everyone matures at a different rate, but if you're on TV and you're getting these $1 million checks and you've seen player 2B go down, you saw what they just did to Ja Morant, nothing pops in your head and you shouldn't be held or actionable for that. It should all go back to maybe you didn't get hugged enough as a kid. I don't know.
Okay. Let me make this comment. The whole expression is some people can learn from other people's experience, from what they see, and like you already mentioned, false sense is the best sense, or your own personal experience is the best teacher. But that's for the ones that can comprehend and realize and mature from it, or grow from it, or develop or improve from it, or correct their mistakes once they realize mistakes. But like you said, people mature at different stages in life. So life is a test and a school session every day you wake up. And some people grow at different rates and levels and time frames. God said there's a time and place for everything. And some people are just slower.
You are right, Mackie. I'm sorry, Mackie.
JW.
In the thing, JW, I apologize. I appreciate.
Dysfunction attitudes play the major role. So that's, and you got to have the right person. I'm going to let you guys go.
We appreciate your time and your comments. We like to consider everything. When we come forward, we will get more into that. There are more comments in the chat. And, there's a topic that is being brought up, or a suggestion. I have an answer for you on that. So we will get into that on the other side. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Infusing a sense of fun and entertainment in every episode. You're listening to RSVP with Jill Munroe on KBLA Talk 1580. More when we come forward.
Walk to Save Lives. Join the American Heart Association's Los Angeles Heart and Stroke Walk, Sunday, October 22nd at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Team up with friends and family and walk to end heart and stroke. Every step you take and every dollar raised will help save lives and make our community a healthier place for all. Learn more and sign up for free at heartwalkla.org. Sponsored by Optum, UCLA Health, Providence, Keck Medicine of USC, and Dignity Health.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. So minivans, sedans, JDMs, roll out. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. And with eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
I'm getting vaccinated with Prevnar 20.
So am I, because I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine. It can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Only 1 in 5 people with autism are employed, despite many having the skill set and desire to work.
Maybe it's because employers don't know what kind of jobs they can do. Like, what about a programmer?
That's a job for someone with autism.
How about a healthcare worker?
Yep, that is too. People with autism can do a lot of different jobs, but often get overlooked due to outdated stigmas. Introducing WIN by Autism Speaks. We help businesses lead the way in inclusive hiring.
What about a ranch hand?
To learn more, go to autismspeaks.org/win.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is killing people. It's a powerful opioid, often made illegally and commonly mixed with illicit drugs. It can even be pressed into counterfeit pills that resemble prescription medications. Just 2 milligrams, about the size of a few grains of sand, could potentially be lethal. This isn't an ad to scare you, but it is an ad to make you think twice. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Now back to more captivating conversation on RSVP with Jill Munroe.
You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. Listen, the chat is lit. They are opinionated on this topic. Urban Spinster said, if these teams would require psych evaluations as prerequisites for hire, there would be less of these incidents. I am here to tell you that would not make a difference because, one, to a degree, something like that is already happening in the mix. Let me tell you that when they do these pre-draft checks or whatever, man, they get all up in these players' business, their associations. They know this stuff, right? And then part two is outside of jobs like, police officer, nurse, doctor, things like that. There's a couple others that you could think of, though. Are you comfortable with having to pass a psych evaluation to work a regular job? I mean, these guys are bouncing basketballs. They're playing sports. They're throwing balls. I mean, do you think that it should be required?
Some of these careers, you got to be nuts to work in the building. Look at corporate America right now.
I mean, indeed, sometimes it might be of assistance to you to have that little tick boom going on. Janet Johnson says the crazy gene doesn't ignite until the second direct deposit hit. I know that's right. We can hold it together for 2 pay cycles and then it opens up. Mackie Samuel says the players union probably would be against psych evaluations and would remove it during the collective bargaining agreement. Exactly, Mackie. Like there are some type of conversations. There are things that happen, but nothing based on things like that. There's background checks, there's conversations, there's things that are noted, but I think that would be a civil rights issue, Fahima says, I know that since 2013, the NFL has asked players to take their player assessment test. I mean, listen, the Players Associations, if I had a vote, and I don't, if I said which Players Association takes better care of their players, by and large, it would be the NBPA. Obviously, that's my favorite sport, but that is not why I say that. If you just look at the contract structure, the things that they are able to do, the player empowerment, that has set with the NBA for a very long time. You've seen it sort of evolve out, especially as players like LeBron have taken control of free agency. Now, that's not to say the owners aren't trying to take control of that back. However, I don't think that I would be comfortable with them setting a bar level of what makes it okay to participate in the sport, especially if you're talking about something like the NFL. They get hit in the head for a living. You think they're going to be all okay? Realistically?
Definitely not.
They're making that as a choice. So, I don't know. But, we'll see what happens overall with this situation, if the prosecution moves forward, if he is able to keep his career. I mean, some team might pick him up as a bargain, and he might be more open to it because he will have at least some portion of that $16 million that was left on his contract. So if a team says, we'll sign you for the vet minimum or something like that, maybe he's the right fit for somebody under those type of situations and circumstances. So listen, your guy Kanye West is still out there causing havoc and commotion.
He's
right?
a Gemini. He can't help it.
He can't help it. So he hit up his friend Ian Connor, who's a rapper, right, with his own questionable background, to share on Instagram screenshots of Kanye's text messages to Elon Musk. And he said that he desires to get this out in the public, right? Elon and Ye used to be friends. They fell out when Elon decided to block him on Twitter, the X, because of his anti-Semitic comments. So Kanye basically said to Elon that he has autism because of his previous car accident, where he had to get his jaw wired shut. And that, Kim is keeping him away from him, and that he's not crazy and he needs to be nicer to him. He was like, when are we going to speak? You owe me nothing. You never have to speak to me again. But if we do speak, the nature of our relationship has to change. I'm not bipolar. I have signs of autism from my car accident. I don't think that's how autism works. Maybe he means TBI, traumatic brain injury, which could have some damaging effects, but not autism. No. He says, you can't watch Kim keep my kids from me and not say anything publicly and then call yourself my friend. So I can bring my audience to your struggling platform. They've been doing this sort of dance. They were tight back in 2018 when Elon praised Ye, called him an inspiration. In 2020, Elon co-signed Ye's presidential campaign. But then last year he banned him from Twitter, and, he got reinstated last July. But is this, of course, it's more attention-seeking behavior. But do you think that Kanye really understands what he is saying? Do you think he meant to say I have autism from my car accident?
Make it stop. Please make it stop. Make it stop. He knows what he's doing, and he's baiting us. This man has been trolling us for the last decade, and we fall for it every time.
I mean, it does sound like a big troll.
He knows what he's talking about. He knows what he's doing. He does all this on purpose. Period.
Listen, when we come forward, we'll have more trending topics and headlines. We are going to hear from a preacher that utilized Victoria Monet in his service. We're going to get into Dame Dash and what he says the one condition is for him to have a one-on-one conversation with Jay-Z. We're going to talk about some news that Gene Dial dropped because, he is always full of interesting tidbits and information. All of that and more. You are locked into RSVP with Jill Munroe here on KBLA Talk 1580. News and Sports is up next.
Never give up, baby, don't cry. Hope you got your head up, even when the road is hard. Never give up, baby, don't cry.
Get him, girl. He ain't gonna never change. I ain't no hater, but that nigga lost in the game. After the bright lights and big things, he probably could love you, but he in love with the struggle. Every day, his mind on getting more. And never your feelings, he chasing millions for shows. Now you about to have his baby. Another wild ass nigga that's gonna drive you crazy.